Hello everybody. Since I'm doing my try to use what I've got challenge, and I have a lot of 12 by 12 cardstock weight paper, I decided that I wanted to make some little sort of purse-sized notebooks that could be given as little gifts, kind of stocking stuffers. Yeah, we got to sort of think about that. This is a single sheet of 12-inch square paper, and this idea I sort of got from Lisa My Eclectic Life, and I will put a link in her description below. She had used a gigantic sheet of paper and made a zine or a single page book, and then she added signatures, and this is what we're going to make. And now I don't have any tags or anything in here today. I'm just gonna make the book, and we can make the tags and whatnot tomorrow and decorate it all up. So this just wraps around and tucks in to tie it. Just real simple book, but it does have some little tricks. And like I said, Lisa made one of these I think out of a file folder, if I remember correctly. But I will make sure to link to that video for you so that you can see how she's done it. And we're just going to take, and this paper is folded just like they fold the zines when they make them from the 8.5 by 11 paper. So we are going to first fold this in half. And I chose a paper that did not have an up and a down side. You want to think about that because the pages, part of them would be upside down if it had a direction to it. So it's one of those things. Now we're just folding that page right in half, and you notice I'm using something to crease it really well. I open it up and I fold it again in half, and the more accurate your folds are, the better off you are. So try to be careful when you're folding this that you get it as accurate as possible. I will tell you that no matter what you do, the thickness that comes out, you're going to get a little bit off where these two pieces come together. We're going to decorate that tomorrow so that it's not something that's going to bother you terribly. So once I have that second fold in, I'm going to then take my one edge and fold it to the flat, to the fold. This is a cut edge. This is a folded edge. And I'm going to fold it like so. And then I'm going to flip it over and do the exact same thing again. Can't see that very well, so let me. Now, like I said, this is a fold for a zine. When we come back and we open it like this, we're going to, it's hard for you to see, but there's a fold right there. Let me redo it so that you can see the fold. See here? There's a fold, and there's a fold line. And I just go like this, and I take my scissors, and I very carefully cut right on that fold line. And we're only cutting to this fold. Okay. Okay, so once we do that, we can take hold of these pieces and fold them like this. And that creates our little book. We're going to fold it like so. Crease everything down real well and fold this like so. Now, depending upon which one you get hold of, depends on which way your crease, where your openings are. Okay, we want to have as many folded lines on the bottom as possible. We're going to close up these tabs on the top, and we're going to use some of them for tuck spots, like so. This one is going to be a tuck spot this way, where this one is going to be a tuck spot this way. So now we have this, and now we want to insert our little signatures. And the thing about this is you want to remember that you want to do 2 of your signatures now before we start putting this whole piece together. These front and back ones have to be inserted at this time. And what we're going to do is, I had 2 paper clips right here. We are going to open this and find this crease, and we're going to put a paper clip right here, because we need to know that that's where we're going to put one of our signatures. Then we're going to open to the back page, and again we're going to take our paper clip and put it right here so that we know that that's where we're going to attach a signature. This one in the middle we're going to leave until later. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. Then we have to cut our signatures. Now, another thing I have a lot of is this legal size paper. If you had, this is just copy paper, and you could use pretty much any paper you would like for the inside. The weight of it needs to be fairly thin if you're going to put a lot of pages. Copy paper works real well, and if you had 8.5 by 11, you would eliminate 1 cut. This happens to be what I have a lot of, so this is what I'm using. This is about using it up, using what you have. Now, because I want my signatures, this dimension is 5 3/4. This dimension is 5 1/2. When you start putting your signature in, you need extra room over here, hence the 5 1/2. The 5 3/4 tucks in. Your book is roughly 3 by 6. So we need 5 3/4 inch tall, 5 1/2 across the width, folded. So we're going to cut this paper at 11. And I can cut about 3 pages of copy paper at a time with this cutter. We're going to set these aside for some other project. And like I said, this is now an 8.5 by 11 sheet. If you had that kind of paper, you'd eliminate that first cut. We're now going to cut this at 5 3/4. And now we're going to cut it at 5 1/2. Be careful to get this, that this is the 5 1/2 way. Okay. Now the nice thing about cutting 3 sheets at a time is it gives me a complete signature when I cut 3 sheets and get 2 sections. This is the 5 3/4, 5 1/2, and I'm going to take the 5 1/2 and fold it in half. Now each of those is 3 sheets of paper folded in half. And then I'm going to tuck this in here. So I've now got 6 sheets of paper folded in half. And I already did 2 other signatures. So we're ready for the next step. And that is that I use a centering ruler. It makes my life a lot easier. So we're going to take this ruler and put it so that this goes 2 7/8 on each side. And I'm going to mark this right in the center and at 2 inches from the center. I'm going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, so I need 3 holes in my signatures. At this point, I really just need to mark the center and the 2 holes out. Marking it just makes it easier when we go to punch it. Okay. And I guess I could have done these 2 as well, but now then, we're going to go, we've got those all marked. We're going to get our little booklet here. Just quit throwing stuff on the floor. And our little booklet now has these paper clips in it where we're going to sew our signatures. And that is where we need to mark. So we're going to again center this. Now this time the top and the bottom sit at 3 because it's 6 inches tall. And again we're going to put it at 0 and then 2 inches the center and then 2 inches out from the center on each place I'm going to punch holes. Okay, let's just make those a little darker. And I'm sorry if you can't see them, but center and 2 inches out from center. And then I use this lovely little phone book. And I just open it and I can place my signature in the phone book, and then I can, let me see, I can punch straight down into the crease of the phone book. It really helps me to get my signatures, keep them in place. Okay, and now if you're worried about your signatures moving, shifting on you, you can clip them together like so. I don't usually worry about it because for the most part they will stay in place, and I have got my holes lined up well enough that they usually just stay fine. Now I have found that this punch, sometimes I need to go back and push it all the way through just because it doesn't make the hole complete. We have to punch all 3 of our signatures. And now we're going to take our little piece of paper here and we're going to open our book back up like so. And we have a paper clip here, and we have to punch this one, and we have a paper clip here, and we have to punch that one. So I just put my crease in the book. Push down through the places that I had marked already. Now we need some cording, and this is not my favorite cord. My favorite cord would be waxed linen, but I have this. This is called Sewn, It's beading cord, it's nylon, and I have it, so I'm going to use it. 1, and we want 2, and I usually get about 3 lengths of my little book, whatever little book or pamphlet I'm stitching. And I do use a needle. It's much easier if you use a needle. Okay, now we can take our paper clip off now, scoop up a signature, and we are going to start from the back side because we want our knot on the back side of these. So, and I come through from the back side and I put my needle through the middle of the signature, and I'm going to make sure that I've got 4 or 5 inches left out there, the tail, and I go back down through the hole and all the way through the back. Then I come all the way up to this top hole. I let it kind of go a little bit, shouldn't have done that, and I come through that. And I go back through the center. So now both of my tails are out here. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that one of each tail is on either side of this center string. And we're going to pull this snug. I always check my signature on the other side just to be sure. And remember, one tail has to be on either side of this long one. And then we're going to tie a knot. And I try to tie a square knot, and I tie several of them. If it was wax linen, a couple would work and it'd be fine, but this tends to want to come undone. So we're tying a few knots in it, and then because it's nylon, we have to melt the ends of it. So rather than cut, we're going to just melt the ends of our threads. Now I also have a thread zapper somewhere and I can't find it. So alright, so we're going to do that one more time. See our paper clips right here. We can take our paper clip off. We're going to get 3, 2, 3. And I would rather have too much than not enough. You can cut it off and throw the little bit of extra away, but you cannot attach it after the fact. So it's kind of like getting a haircut. It's way easier to start with too much and then cut more off later. Now, so I'm going to go through the center hole. I'm going to find the center in my signature. Can you see that? Yeah, I hope so. Right like so. Come on now. Okay, and we'll go through the top one, all the way through to the back, all the way down here to the other end. And then back through the center. Now, one of the things you wanted to be careful of is not to split your thread as you go back through that center hole. It's hard to tie if you do. There we go. Okay. And once again, we want to make sure that we have one end on either side of that long one, and we're going to pull snug, check the other side. tie some square knots. Okay, and now we need to melt this one off as well. The other thing about wax linen is you don't have to melt the little cords. So now we're going to fold it back, and we have to get we have to find our front and our back. Okay. There we go. It's upside down, that's why it's not working. Okay, see, all of these cut edges are up here now, and some of the folded ones are on the bottom. So we'll go like that, and wrap it around. Now at this point it starts to be full and it doesn't want to behave real well. So we're just gonna flatten it back out like so. And this is where I'm telling you that this front edge is liable to have a little bit of white showing, and I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to decorate it and make it pretty on that edge. Now we want to put our signature in the middle, and we're going to create our tie cord all at the same time. Okay? Doesn't want to tuck in. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to open it to the center. See, this is our front, our back. We're going to open it to the center, and we are going to measure with our ruler and find the center. And we're going to find the center, and we're going to go 2 inches on either side of the center, just like we did everything else. I'm going to take our little book. Now you want to get this folded as best you can when you go to punch these holes. And you've got to be careful in the center because you now have a couple of knots in there. So if it doesn't go through nicely, you may have to realign it. See, there's a knot right in front of my needle. So I'm just going to reach in here and push this knot out of my way. And now I can get through to the outside. Okay? And then I'm going to do my 2 inches up this way, 2 inches this way. Okay, and now we have our third signature. We're going to put it in there. And I used a slightly different cord for the wrap. And what I want to do is I want 3, 1, 2, 3 links. That's to tie our signature. And then I want a couple of long tails so that it can wrap around the book a few times, because our book's liable to grow when we start putting things in it. Okay. Never fails that when somebody's watching, you can't thread a needle. Okay. Now, once again, we're going to go from the outside of where we want our signature to be sewn through everything. Put our signature in. And this time we're going to leave a long tail because we want to sort of have these even. That's a little too long. And we can adjust it so it won't be And now we're going to go like this all the way through to the outside. We're going to go all the way down, come back through the center. And I can already tell we don't quite have this right this time. So then we're going to go back through the center to the outside. Come on now. That little knot must have slid into my spot. There we go. Okay. Now, what we want is to have these close to being the same length, and they're not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this one a little, and then this one a little, and I'm just going to adjust it until they're roughly the same length. If they're not exact, it's not a big deal. We can cut them off a little bit. And again, make sure that you've got one of your tails on each side of this line of that string. Make sure it's tight. I'm just looking at the inside threads to make sure they're tight. And we're going to tie this up. And again, I'm going to put in a couple of square knots. It's not quite as important this time. We're not going to cut this off. That we have multiple knots, 2 or 3 is going to do it. Okay. Now what we have to do is we have to glue the places in our little book that we have openings. We need to make this into a pocket, so we're going to have to glue this edge. We need to make this one into a pocket, so we have to glue the bottom edge. Again, this one is a side pocket. We're going to glue the top, and then we're coming back and glue the bottom. And I'm going to use this Mono Aqua Glue. I like it because it has a nice little applicator. And I'm going to glue the 2 on the bottom first. You see here, there it's open. And I'm just going to open it up a little bit. Let's see if I can do it where you can see it. Open it up a little bit, and I'm going to run a very small line of glue, about 1/4 of an inch in. And squash it. Now, if you get glue where it's coming out, you may need to protect your pages with some wax paper, which we'll do in a minute. Then I'm going to find the other one that's open, which is your back cover. And see here, it's open. And I'm going to put another little line of glue in there. And we just need a little line. It's just going to hold tags and stuff in. Okay. So in a minute we will have to get some wax paper to protect those. But right now what we want to glue is these ones so that open like this. We're going to glue this right here. And I'm just going to about 1/4 of an inch in, run that little line. And see, your front cover is going to just kind of do that little shift thing. It just does it. It does it even on an 8.5 by 11. And I'm going to glue this one so that I can have another side pocket. And I'm going to put my glue away, and I'm going to protect all of these. I just want to protect my pages so that they don't stick together. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my little clippies on there for right now to hold that. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to protect these pages with some wax paper where I put the glue. Now you could not worry about this, but I was afraid the glue would come out and get my signature pages stuck together. So that's why I did this. And then I'm just gonna put this all together. You could put this under something. I wanted to keep going, so I can finish up the book part today in the video. And wait, you just gotta weight it down. Okay, so then in the same paper pad, I have this cute little swan paper, and I have a 1/2-inch paper punch, and it just, the little swan fit perfectly in there. So I'm going to punch 2 of those. And I'm going to pull this out where I have the ends. Well, it might be helpful if I got hold of those first. I'm going to use tacky glue because tacky glue is just a little thicker and holds a little better. And I'm going to put these 2, I'm going to pull them so they're even, and then I'm going to lay them right in that glue and put my other little swan on top. And just pinch it down. And that just gives your cords just a little something to tuck when when you're wrapping it around. And I'm gonna take the ends of this cord and melt them. That didn't work so well. There we go. I don't want to touch it with my fingers because I'm afraid it's hot. So. There we go. There. It melts and it gives it a little bump on the end so that it won't come undone. Now then, our little book is pretty much done, except for tags and such. You see I've got a pocket here, and then on the next page I have a pocket that goes at the top. The next one is a pocket in the side, and then back one is the pocket at the top. And then I can take, now there again, that's going to be fixed. And I can just wrap this up and tuck it. Let's wrap it the other way so that I can tuck it where you can see it. There you go. And just tuck it in, and it'll stay closed like that. And this nice long one, if you didn't want it that long, you don't have to make it that long, but I know that this book is going to get filled up when I start putting tags and stuff in it. So that's our little zine book that was inspired by Lisa at My Eclectic Life, and we're gonna make pockets for it tomorrow, or not pockets but tags and such for it tomorrow, so make sure to come back and take a look at the tags and things. Anyways, you guys have a great afternoon. Have fun, use what you've got, go make some art. Oh, I guess I should ask, if you haven't already, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, and do check the description because Lisa's tutorial is in there. Thanks for stopping in.